The uninvited guests. Captain Elena Vasquez stood before the massive viewport of the diplomatic vessel New Horizon, watching the capital world of the Galactic Trade Federation grow larger against the star-filled backdrop. The planet below pulsed with lights from 1,000 different species, their cities sprawling across continents in patterns that spoke of centuries of established power. Elena adjusted her dark blue uniform, checking her reflection in the polished surface of the viewport. Her black hair was pulled back in regulation style, and her brown eyes carried the weight of humanity's hopes. The Galactic Trade Federation had ruled interstellar commerce for over 500 years before humanity even dreamed of reaching the stars. When human scientists finally cracked the code of faster-than-light travel 8 years ago, first contact had come swiftly. The Federation's massive ships had appeared in Earth's solar system within weeks, their representatives speaking of trade opportunities and galactic citizenship. Elena remembered the excitement that had swept across Earth as humanity prepared to join a community of intelligent species spanning thousands of worlds. The reality had proven far different from those early dreams. Commander David Park, Elena's second-in-command, approached from the bridge with a data tablet containing their mission briefings. His Korean ancestry showed in his careful attention to detail, and his military bearing reflected years of service in Earth's growing space force. David had been present during humanity's first meetings with Federation representatives, and Elena could see the skepticism in his dark eyes whenever they discussed their current mission. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions from Federation Control," David reported, his voice carrying professional neutrality that barely concealed his frustration. "They're directing us to Dock 17 in the Restricted Species section." Elena nodded, though the designation stung every time she heard it. Humanity had been classified as a junior species upon joining the Federation, a status that came with significant limitations. Human ships could only travel along approved trade routes. Human colonies were restricted to 12 systems in a remote arm of the galaxy. Human representatives could attend Federation meetings but were not permitted to vote on any matters affecting interstellar policy. The docking bay that received the New Horizon bustled with activity, but Elena noticed immediately that most of the ships berthed nearby were cargo vessels from other restricted species. The sleek diplomatic ships of the major Federation powers occupied different sections of the station, their crews never mixing with those deemed less significant by Federation hierarchy. Elena gathered her diplomatic team in the main corridor, reviewing their objectives one final time before disembarking. Dr. Rebecca Foster, Earth's leading xenobiologist, carried samples and research data that demonstrated humanity's contributions to galactic medicine. Her red hair was streaked with gray from years of intense research, and her green eyes sparkled with passion for her work. Rebecca had developed treatments for 3 different plague outbreaks on Federation worlds, saving millions of lives across multiple species. Despite these achievements, Federation medical authorities had classified her discoveries as adequate contributions from junior researchers. Engineer Thomas Liu represented humanity's technological capabilities. The Chinese-American inventor had designed improvements to Federation infrastructure that increased efficiency by 30% across 17 different worlds. His modifications to waste processing systems had made previously uninhabitable planets suitable for colonization. The Federation had implemented his designs galaxy-wide, but credited them to their own research departments, treating Thomas as merely a skilled technician rather than an innovative engineer. The Federation Council Chamber occupied an entire level of the massive space station orbiting the capital world. Elena's team found themselves seated in a small section designated for junior species representatives, their chairs positioned to emphasize their lower status in the galactic hierarchy. The chamber's design deliberately showcased the power structure of Federation society, with the most influential species occupying elevated platforms while newcomers and restricted populations were relegated to ground-level seating. Chancellor Zaxthul of the Hegemonic Trade Consortium dominated the central platform, the insectoid being stood nearly 10 feet tall, his forearms manipulating data streams with practiced efficiency. His compound eyes reflected the chamber's lights as he reviewed the agenda for the day's proceedings. The Chancellor's species had founded the Federation 5 centuries earlier, establishing the trade networks and political structures that governed galactic civilization. Zaxthul's voice carried the authority of tradition when he addressed the assembled representatives. Today we consider requests from the human delegation regarding expansion of trade privileges and colonial rights, the Chancellor announced, his words translated through universal communicators into dozens of languages. Representative Vasquez, you may present your petition. Elena rose from her seat, feeling the weight of thousands of years of galactic politics pressing down on her shoulders. She had spent months preparing for this moment, gathering evidence of humanity's contributions and potential. The data she carried told a story of innovation, cooperation, and peaceful intentions that should have earned respect from any reasonable civilization. Honored Chancellor and esteemed representatives, Elena began, her voice carrying clearly across the vast chamber. Humanity comes before this council to request reconsideration of our current status within the Federation. In the 8 years since first contact, our species has demonstrated both willingness to contribute and capability to enhance galactic civilization. Elena activated a holographic display showing humanity's achievements across Federation space. The images revealed human medical teams working in disaster zones, human engineers improving infrastructure on frontier worlds, and human diplomats facilitating peaceful resolutions to trade disputes. Each example represented hours of careful work and genuine desire to prove humanity's worth as galactic citizens. Trade Commissioner Veltar of the Aquatic Alliance shifted in his specialized water tank, his tentacled form moving with fluid grace as he reviewed the human data. His species controlled shipping routes between water worlds, commanding vast merchant fleets that carried goods across stellar distances. Veltar's electronic voice synthesizer translated his thoughts into Federation standard as he responded to Elena's presentation. The human contributions you describe are indeed useful, Veltar acknowledged, his tone suggesting mild approval for a well-trained animal. Your species shows aptitude for following directions and completing assigned tasks. However, these achievements do not indicate readiness for expanded responsibilities within Federation structure. General Kar-Esh of the Military Protection Service leaned forward from her elevated position, her reptilian features set in an expression of professional assessment. The warrior species she represented provided security for Federation trade routes and colonial expansion, their disciplined forces maintaining order across contested regions. Kar-Esh's yellow eyes fixed on Elena with the calculating gaze of a predator evaluating potential prey. Human military capabilities remain unproven, General Kar-Esh stated bluntly. Your species has participated in training exercises with Federation forces, but you have not demonstrated the strength necessary for true partnership. Combat effectiveness determines hierarchy in galactic affairs. Humans serve adequately as support personnel but lack the warrior traditions of established military powers. Elena felt her jaw tighten at the dismissive assessment, but she maintained diplomatic composure as she prepared her response. The Federation's evaluation criteria seemed designed to ensure that newcomer species could never advance beyond subordinate status. Military strength was judged by willingness to engage in aggressive expansion. Political sophistication was measured by success in dominating other cultures. Economic value was determined by control of existing trade monopolies rather than innovation or productivity. General Kar-Esh, humanity has chosen peaceful approaches to conflict resolution, not from weakness, but from philosophical preference, Elena replied carefully. Our history shows that cooperation produces superior results to conquest in most circumstances. We offer this perspective as a contribution to Federation wisdom rather than evidence of military inadequacy. The chamber filled with what Elena recognized as the Federation equivalent of polite laughter. Representatives from dozens of species expressed amusement at the concept that peaceful intentions might be considered valuable. Their reactions revealed a fundamental assumption underlying Federation culture, that strength was measured solely by the ability to impose one's will on others through force or economic pressure. Dr. Rebecca Foster stood to present humanity's medical achievements, her research data painting a clear picture of lives saved and suffering prevented through human intervention. The holographic displays showed before and after images of plague-ravaged worlds that had been restored to health through human medical assistance. Rebecca's voice carried passion and conviction as she described each breakthrough and its impact on galactic civilization. The treatments we have developed have eliminated 3 separate pandemic threats, Rebecca explained, her green eyes bright with scientific enthusiasm. Our approach combines genetic analysis with synthetic biology in ways that previous Federation medicine had not attempted. These innovations are not just useful, they are revolutionary advances that could benefit every species in the galaxy. Chief Medical Administrator Thissanel of the Biomedical Authority listened with obvious boredom, her serpentine form coiled in the specialized seating designed for her species. The Federation's medical establishment had controlled healthcare across civilized space for generations, their conservative approaches emphasizing proven treatments over experimental innovations. Thissanel's forked tongue tasted the air as she prepared her response. Human medical efforts show promise for a developing species, Thissanel acknowledged with condescending approval. However, true medical authority requires centuries of experience and proven wisdom. Your treatments may be temporarily effective, but long-term consequences remain unknown. Federation medical protocols exist to prevent dangerous experimentation that could harm established populations. Engineer Thomas Liu presented humanity's technological contributions with quiet confidence, his data showing efficiency improvements and cost reductions across multiple Federation industries. The designs he had developed solved problems that Federation engineers had struggled with for decades, their elegant solutions combining practicality with innovative thinking that challenged traditional approaches. The infrastructure improvements we have implemented save the Federation approximately 200 billion credits annually, Thomas explained, his presentation highlighting specific examples of human engineering success. Our waste processing modifications have made 17 previously marginal worlds suitable for large-scale colonization. Our transportation system upgrades have reduced shipping times by 23% across major trade routes. Chief Technology Director Brixenal of the Industrial Development Corps examined the human engineering data with professional interest, his cybernetic implants interfacing directly with the presentation systems. The mechanical species he represented had dominated Federation technology for centuries, their standardized approaches ensuring compatibility across diverse civilizations. Brixenal's artificial voice carried the emotionless precision of advanced machinery as he evaluated human achievements. Human engineering shows adequate technical competence, Brixenal assessed, his electronic analysis complete. However, these improvements are incremental modifications to existing Federation designs rather than fundamental innovations. True technological leadership requires the ability to create entirely new paradigms, not merely optimize current systems. Elena realized with growing frustration that the Federation's evaluation criteria were specifically designed to dismiss any achievements by newcomer species. Medical innovations were discounted as potentially dangerous experimentation. Engineering improvements were minimized as mere modifications to superior Federation designs. Peaceful diplomatic approaches were characterized as evidence of military weakness. The deliberations continued for hours as Elena's team presented evidence of humanity's value and potential. Each achievement was acknowledged politely before being dismissed as inadequate for justifying expanded privileges. The Federation representatives seemed to be following a well-established script, their responses suggesting that this same scene had been played out countless times with other species seeking advancement. Chancellor Zaxthul called for final statements as the session neared its conclusion. Elena stood once more, choosing her words carefully as she made humanity's case for equal treatment. The weight of disappointment pressed down on her shoulders as she realized that logic and evidence would not be sufficient to change minds that had already been made up. Honored representatives, humanity asks only for the opportunity to prove our worth through expanded participation in galactic affairs, Elena concluded. We offer our skills, our innovations, and our commitment to peaceful cooperation. Grant us the chance to demonstrate that partnership produces superior results to subordination. The vote was swift and predictable. Each major Federation power cast their ballot to maintain humanity's junior species status, their reasons varying but their conclusions identical. Humanity would remain restricted to their assigned systems, limited to approved trade routes, and excluded from meaningful participation in galactic governance. Elena gathered her team for the journey back to Earth, their diplomatic mission ending in failure despite months of preparation and years of demonstrated contribution. The New Horizon departed Federation space carrying bitter news that would reshape humanity's relationship with galactic civilization. As they jumped to faster-than-light speeds, Elena stared out at the stars that surrounded them, wondering if cooperation and peaceful intentions were weaknesses in a galaxy that respected only strength. The seeds of a different approach were already forming in Elena's mind as she composed her report for Earth's leaders. If the Federation refused to accept humanity as equals through peaceful means, perhaps it was time to demonstrate that human politeness was a choice rather than a limitation. The galaxy was about to learn that patience and cooperation were not signs of weakness, they were luxuries that humanity could choose to withdraw. The Quiet Revolution. Dr. Marcus Chen stood in his office overlooking the bustling streets of New Geneva, Earth's center for colonial administration. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see the massive communication arrays that connected Earth to human settlements across 12 star systems. The arrays pulsed with quantum-encrypted data streams, carrying messages that officially dealt with routine administrative matters. In reality, those same channels carried something far more significant, the most carefully coordinated operation in human history. Marcus had been appointed Director of Human Colonial Affairs 3 years earlier, following Elena Vasquez's failed diplomatic mission. His background in systems engineering and organizational psychology made him uniquely qualified for a position that required managing human settlements scattered across thousands of light-years. What the Federation didn't realize was that Marcus's expertise in coordination and logistics would be turned against them in ways they could never have imagined. The secure conference room in the basement of the Colonial Affairs building hosted a meeting that would reshape galactic civilization. Elena Vasquez attended via encrypted hologram from the frontier colony of New Olympia, her image flickering slightly due to the massive distance involved. Admiral Sarah Torres participated from Luna Base, her weathered face showing the strain of years spent secretly preparing humanity's true response to Federation dismissal. The Federation Council's decision was final and absolute, Elena reported, her voice carrying bitter disappointment even across the vast distance. They have no intention of ever treating humanity as equals. Chancellor Zach Thule made it clear that our status is permanent regardless of our contributions or achievements. Admiral Torres leaned forward, her gray hair pulled back in a severe military style that emphasized the intensity in her blue eyes. Sarah had spent her entire career watching humanity bow to Federation restrictions while secretly building capabilities that the alien powers never suspected existed. Her patience with diplomatic solutions had ended long before Elena's mission failed. "How many humans are currently working in Federation space?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer from her own intelligence reports. Marcus consulted his tablet, though the numbers were burned into his memory from years of careful tracking. Approximately 4 million humans work directly for Federation industries across 317 different worlds. Another 2 million serve in support roles for Federation military operations. Most importantly, nearly 60,000 humans hold technical positions that the Federation considers routine maintenance work. The true scope of human integration into Federation infrastructure had developed gradually over 8 years of seemingly cooperative participation. Humans had proven exceptionally good at understanding complex systems and finding elegant solutions to technical problems. Their willingness to work in dangerous environments and their ability to adapt to alien technologies had made them valuable throughout Federation space. What the Federation never realized was that Marcus had been carefully documenting every human assignment, mapping the critical points where human expertise had become essential to continued operations. The data revealed a pattern that even Marcus had not fully appreciated until he began analyzing it systematically. Humanity had become the invisible backbone supporting Federation civilization. "The beautiful thing is that they don't even see us," Marcus explained to his colleagues, activating a holographic display that showed human workers scattered across Federation space. "To them, we're just competent technicians who follow orders. They have no idea that every human worker reports to me through encrypted channels, or that we've been building our own communication networks inside their facilities." Elena's holographic image showed surprise at the revelation. Even she had not fully understood the extent of Marcus's coordination efforts during her diplomatic mission. Realization that humanity had been preparing for this moment while still pursuing peaceful solutions filled her with a mixture of admiration and regret. "Marcus, are you saying that we can coordinate actions across the entire galaxy?" Elena asked, her tactical mind immediately grasping the implications. "Better than that," Marcus replied with quiet satisfaction. We can coordinate actions that the Federation will initially interpret as coincidental equipment failures and routine maintenance problems. They trust us so completely that they'll blame their own systems before suspecting deliberate human action. The plan that emerged from that meeting was elegant in its simplicity and devastating in its potential impact. Rather than dramatic sabotage or violent resistance, humanity would simply begin working with slightly less efficiency and enthusiasm. The changes would be subtle enough to avoid immediate detection, but significant enough to cascade through Federation systems in ways that would compound over time. Dr. Jennifer Walsh led the medical team on Kepler Station, a Federation research facility studying exotic diseases from recently discovered worlds. The station housed representatives from 7 different species, with humans comprising less than 20% of the total population. Jennifer's team was responsible for maintaining the isolation protocols that prevented dangerous pathogens from escaping the research areas. The message Jennifer received through her personal communicator looked like a routine scheduling update from Earth's Colonial Health Administration. The actual content, hidden beneath layers of encryption that the Federation had never bothered to examine, contained new instructions that would fundamentally change how human medical personnel operated throughout Federation space. Beginning tomorrow, we implement Standard Protocol 7, Jennifer announced to her human staff during their daily briefing. Her team consisted of 12 specialists who understood that their real loyalty was to humanity rather than the Federation facility that employed them. Standard Protocol 7 was Marcus Chen's designation for a 15% reduction in human efficiency across all Federation operations. The reduction would be implemented gradually over several weeks, disguised as normal variations in productivity and work quality. To outside observers, it would appear that human workers were simply experiencing the minor fluctuations common to any biological workforce. The first signs of trouble appeared 3 weeks after Marcus initiated the new protocols. Federation facilities across 17 different sectors began reporting minor technical difficulties that seemed unrelated to any specific cause. Computer systems experienced occasional glitches. Manufacturing equipment required more frequent maintenance. Transportation schedules fell slightly behind their usual precision. Chief Administrator Velkar managed the massive ore processing facility on Titan 7, where human workers comprised 40% of the technical staff. The facility extracted rare metals essential for Federation technology, its automated systems processing millions of tons of material daily. Velkar had managed industrial operations for 30 years, his experience teaching him to recognize patterns in mechanical failures and personnel performance. The efficiency reports show a gradual decline over the past month, Velkar explained to his department heads during their weekly status meeting. Nothing dramatic, but consistent across all operational areas. Processing rates are down 12% from standard, and quality control has identified more defects requiring manual correction. Velkar's engineering chief, a crystalline being named Thisek, consulted his diagnostic reports with growing confusion. The facility's primary systems showed normal operational parameters, with no indication of mechanical problems or software errors. Personnel evaluations revealed that human workers continued to perform their assigned duties with apparent dedication and competence. Sir, diagnostic scans indicate all systems functioning within acceptable parameters, Thisek reported. Human workers appear healthy and motivated. Perhaps the decline reflects normal variations in biological performance cycles. Similar reports began flooding Federation administrative centers as facilities throughout galactic space experienced the same mysterious deterioration in efficiency. The problems seemed random and unconnected, affecting different types of operations in ways that defied easy explanation. Federation managers initially attributed the difficulties to equipment aging, personnel fatigue, or simple statistical fluctuations. Marcus monitored the developing crisis from his office on Earth, watching as Federation civilization began to stumble without administrative messages now pulsed with status reports from human workers across the galaxy. Each report confirmed that the quiet revolution was proceeding exactly as planned. Phase 2 initiation in 72 hours, Marcus announced during his daily coordination call with human team leaders. Remember, we want them to notice the problems before they notice us. Phase 2 introduced a 25% reduction in human efficiency, combined with strategic delays in critical maintenance operations. The changes remained subtle enough to avoid triggering Federation security protocols, but significant enough to create serious operational challenges across multiple sectors. Engineer Robert Kim worked in the central computer facility that managed faster-than-light communications for the Andromeda trade route. The facility processed billions of messages daily, coordinating shipping schedules and commercial transactions across 47 star systems. Robert's team was responsible for maintaining the quantum encryption arrays that prevented unauthorized access to Federation communication networks. The maintenance schedule that Robert implemented under Phase 2 protocols appeared completely normal to Federation supervisors. Routine cleaning procedures were extended by 20 minutes. Diagnostic scans were performed with slightly more thoroughness. Component replacements were requested marginally more frequently. Each individual change was insignificant, but their cumulative effect began degrading communication efficiency across the entire trade route. Message processing delays have increased by 38% over the past 2 weeks, reported Communications Director Zach Sinnell during an emergency meeting of route administrators. Commercial traffic is backing up at 7 major hub stations, and shipping companies are filing formal complaints about missed delivery schedules. The investigation that followed revealed no obvious cause for the deteriorating performance. Human technicians continued working diligently, following all established protocols with apparent dedication. Equipment diagnostics showed normal operating parameters. Software analysis detected no errors or corruption in the communication networks. What Federation investigators failed to recognize was that human workers had been subtly redefining normal operation over a period of weeks. Procedures that had been optimized for maximum efficiency were gradually modified to require additional time and resources. Diagnostic standards were enhanced to identify more potential problems requiring attention. Maintenance schedules were expanded to include previously optional procedures. The cascading effects of reduced human efficiency began manifesting in ways that surprised even Marcus Chen. Federation supply chains, which had operated with remarkable reliability for centuries, suddenly became vulnerable to minor disruptions. Manufacturing processes that had maintained consistent quality required increased supervision and correction. Transportation networks that had coordinated seamlessly across vast distances began experiencing scheduling conflicts and routing errors. Dr. Rebecca Foster observed the developing crisis from her research station in the Centauri system, where she continued her medical work while secretly coordinating with Marcus's revolution. Her facility had been studying Federation biological systems for 3 years, developing treatments and vaccines that protected multiple species from emerging diseases. Rebecca's team had become essential to Federation health services without ever receiving recognition for their contributions. The medical emergencies are beginning, Rebecca reported during her encrypted communication with Earth. 3 plague outbreaks on frontier worlds, 2 food poisoning incidents at major population centers, and a viral contamination at the genetic research facility on Beta Station. All situations that human medical teams would normally handle within hours. Rebecca's team had been among the first to implement Marcus's efficiency reduction protocols, their medical responses becoming deliberately slower and less comprehensive. The changes were justified as enhanced safety procedures and thorough diagnostic protocols, but their effect was to transform medical emergencies that had been routine into serious health crises. Federation medical authorities found themselves struggling with situations that had been easily manageable for years. Human medical teams continued providing assistance, but their response times had increased significantly. Treatment procedures that had been streamlined for maximum effectiveness now required additional time for safety verification and protocol compliance. The Federation's first attempt to address the efficiency crisis focused on technological solutions. System administrators implemented new monitoring software designed to identify performance bottlenecks. Engineering. Teams conducted comprehensive facility inspections, searching for mechanical problems. Management consultants analyzed workforce productivity data looking for patterns that might explain the declining performance. All of these investigations reached the same conclusion. Federation systems were operating normally, but somehow producing inferior results. The contradiction frustrated administrators who had built their careers on logical analysis and systematic problem solving. How could properly functioning systems consistently underperform established benchmarks? Marcus Chen watched the Federation's confusion with quiet satisfaction, knowing that their analytical approaches would never identify the true source of their problems. The efficiency reductions implemented by human workers were too subtle and too broadly distributed to be detected through normal monitoring systems. More importantly, Federation managers had never considered the possibility that their trusted human workers might be capable of coordinated resistance. Phase 3 implementation begins tomorrow, Marcus announced to his worldwide coordination network. Remember, we're still the same dedicated workers we've always been. We're just working according to enhanced safety protocols and improved quality standards. Phase 3 reduced human efficiency by 40% while introducing strategic errors that required additional time and resources to correct. The errors were designed to appear random and unrelated, creating the impression of system-wide degradation rather than deliberate sabotage. Human workers continued displaying apparent dedication and competence while secretly undermining the foundations of Federation prosperity. The crisis that erupted across Federation space over the following weeks exceeded Marcus's most optimistic projections. Supply chains collapsed under the weight of cumulative delays and quality problems. Communication networks struggled to process routine traffic as message queues backed up for days. Manufacturing facilities operated far below capacity as production lines required constant adjustment and repair. Federation leaders called emergency sessions to address what they characterized as a galaxy-wide technical crisis. Their investigations focused on equipment failures, software corruption, and possible enemy sabotage. The possibility that their problems might be caused by the human workers they had dismissed as subordinate technicians never entered their consideration. Chancellor Zach Thule addressed the Federation Council from the same chamber where Elena Vasquez had made humanity's failed plea for equal treatment. The Chancellor's forearms gestured frantically as he described the scope of the crisis affecting Federation civilization. His compound eyes reflected the lights of emergency status displays showing red alerts across hundreds of star systems. Our analysts estimate that current efficiency degradation will result in complete infrastructure collapse within 6 months, Chancellor Zach Thule announced, his authority undermined by the obvious desperation in his voice. We must identify the source of these problems and implement immediate corrections to prevent civilizational disaster. Marcus Chen smiled as he watched the Chancellor's address from his office on Earth, knowing that the Federation had finally begun to understand the true cost of their arrogance. Humanity had been polite and cooperative for 8 years, accepting subordinate status while secretly becoming indispensable to galactic civilization. Now the galaxy would learn what happened when politeness was withdrawn. The price of arrogance. Emergency sessions had been called across Federation space as the infrastructure crisis entered its 3rd month. In the Grand Council chambers of the capital world, representatives from every major power gathered to address what had become an existential threat to galactic civilization. The elegant chamber that had once showcased Federation prosperity now hummed with desperate activity as administrators struggled to understand why their carefully constructed society was falling apart. Chancellor Zach Thule stood before emergency displays showing the scope of the disaster affecting Federation worlds. Red indicators marked systems experiencing critical failures. Yellow warnings highlighted facilities operating below minimum acceptable efficiency. Green indicators, once common throughout Federation space, had virtually disappeared from the status boards. The Chancellor's compound eyes reflected the harsh emergency lighting as he addressed the assembled representatives. Our investigation teams have completed comprehensive analysis of the infrastructure failures, Chancellor Zach Thule announced, his forearms manipulating data streams with movements that betrayed barely controlled panic. The results are unlike anything in Federation history. We are experiencing simultaneous degradation across sectors with no identifiable common cause. Trade Commissioner Veltar shifted uncomfortably in his specialized water tank, his tentacled form writhing with agitation as he reviewed the economic impact reports. The Aquatic Alliance controlled major shipping routes that had operated reliably for centuries, but those same routes now struggled with delays and failures that threatened interstellar commerce. Veltar's electronic voice synthesizer crackled with static as he delivered his assessment. Commercial shipping efficiency has declined by 67% over the past 90 days, Veltar reported, his translated voice carrying undertones of disbelief. Cargo vessels report equipment failures requiring extended maintenance periods. Loading facilities experience power fluctuations that delay processing schedules. Communication networks suffer from message queues that create planning difficulties for shipping companies. General Karesh of the Military Protection Service presented even more troubling news from Federation security forces. Her reptilian features showed the strain of weeks spent attempting to maintain order across increasingly unstable territories. The warrior species she represented prided themselves on military efficiency, but their forces now struggled with logistics problems that undermined operational readiness. Military fleet availability has been reduced to 43% of standard levels, General Karesh announced, her yellow eyes reflecting frustration and growing alarm. Warships require extensive maintenance to remain operational. Supply lines suffer from transportation delays that prevent proper provisioning. Communication systems experience failures that complicate coordination between fleet elements. Chief Technology Director Brixnall delivered the most disturbing report of all. His cybernetic implants interfaced directly with Federation monitoring systems, providing real-time analysis of infrastructure performance across thousands of worlds. The mechanical being's artificial voice carried emotionless precision as he described the scope of technological failures affecting galactic civilization. Systematic analysis reveals that efficiency degradation correlates with the presence of human personnel, Brixnall stated, his electronic processing revealing patterns that biological minds had missed. Facilities with significant human workforces show the most severe performance decline. Operations managed entirely by non-human personnel maintain normal efficiency levels. The chamber fell silent as the implications of Brixnall's analysis became clear. For 3 months, Federation leaders had assumed they were experiencing random equipment failures or possible enemy sabotage. The possibility that their problems might be caused by the human workers they had dismissed as subordinate technicians challenged fundamental assumptions about galactic hierarchy and species capabilities. Chancellor Zaxthul accessed human personnel files through the Federation's administrative databases, his compound eyes scanning employment records that told a story he had never bothered to examine. The data revealed that humans had been systematically integrated into critical infrastructure positions across Federation space, their responsibilities expanding gradually as they demonstrated competence and reliability. Humans currently occupy technical positions at 89% of our major facilities, Chancellor Zaxthul announced, his voice carrying new understanding of humanity's importance to Federation operations. Their assignments include maintenance of faster-than-light communication networks, operation of automated manufacturing systems, management of supply chain logistics, and coordination of emergency medical responses. The revelation transformed the Federation's perception of their crisis from mysterious technical failures to deliberate human action. The species they had treated as junior partners for 8 years had been quietly becoming indispensable to galactic civilization while maintaining the appearance of cooperative subordination. The efficiency reductions that had seemed random and unconnected were actually components of a coordinated campaign designed to demonstrate human importance through strategic withdrawal of cooperation. Dr. Marcus Chen received notification of the Federation's discovery through encrypted channels that connected Earth to human workers throughout galactic space. The news that their quiet revolution had been identified marked the beginning of the final phase of humanity's response to decades of dismissive treatment. Marcus activated communication protocols that would broadcast humanity's terms to every Federation facility simultaneously. Phase 4 authorization confirmed, Marcus announced to his global coordination network. Implement complete work stoppage across all Federation operations. It's time for our employers to understand the true cost of human politeness. The message that reached Federation leaders came through official diplomatic channels, properly formatted and transmitted with all required protocol codes. President Elena Vasquez, recently elected to replace the administration that had pursued failed diplomatic solutions, delivered humanity's ultimatum from the same simple podium where her predecessor had announced Earth's withdrawal from galactic society. Citizens of the galaxy, Elena began, her voice carrying the calm authority of someone who held all the advantages in the coming negotiation. Humanity wishes to inform the Federation Council that we have completed our comprehensive review of galactic working conditions. Recent events have convinced us that significant changes are necessary to ensure fair treatment for all sentient species. Elena paused, allowing her words to reach audiences across thousands of worlds where human workers had simultaneously stopped reporting for duty. The timing of the announcement coincided perfectly with the beginning of humanity's complete withdrawal from Federation operations, creating maximum impact when alien administrators discovered empty workstations and abandoned facilities. Effective immediately, all human personnel are being recalled from Federation assignments pending renegotiation of our species' status within galactic society, Elena continued, her tone maintaining diplomatic courtesy while delivering an ultimatum that would reshape interstellar politics. We regret any inconvenience this may cause, but recent diplomatic efforts have convinced us that fundamental changes are necessary. The Federation's response was swift and predictable. Admiral Torvak of the Hegemonic Defense Force assembled a battle fleet consisting of 37 warships drawn from the most powerful military species in the galaxy. The massive vessels represented centuries of military tradition and technological advancement, their combined firepower capable of reducing entire star systems to radioactive debris. Torvak himself commanded from the dreadnought Inevitable Victory, a ship whose name reflected the Federation's assumption that superior force could resolve any political dispute. Admiral Sarah Torres watched the approaching Federation fleet from the bridge of humanity's flagship, the Terra Invicta. The vessel looked nothing like the converted cargo ships and outdated patrol craft that aliens expected from human space forces. Sleek black hull plating absorbed sensor scans while advanced defensive systems powered up in response to the approaching threat. Sarah's weathered face showed calm confidence as she prepared to demonstrate that human military capabilities had been dramatically underestimated. Approaching Federation vessels, this is Admiral Torres of the Earth Defense Fleet, Sarah announced through communication channels that reached every ship in Torvak's armada. You are entering sovereign human space without authorization. State your intentions or prepare to be escorted to the system boundary. Admiral Torvak's reptilian features twisted with amusement at the human admiral's audacity. His species had conquered dozens of star systems through military force, establishing the Federation's dominance through superior technology and ruthless application of violence. The idea that humans might pose a serious military threat struck him as absurd given their known technological limitations and peaceful philosophical preferences. Admiral Torres, the Federation fleet has come to restore order following your species' unlawful abandonment of treaty obligations, Torvak replied, his voice carrying the menace of someone accustomed to being obeyed without question. Surrender your vessels and prepare for immediate reoccupation of human space. Resistance will be met with appropriate force. Sarah smiled grimly as she activated weapon systems that Federation sensors couldn't detect or classify. The Terra Invicta and her escort vessels had been constructed in secret facilities hidden throughout human space, their advanced technology derived from decades of careful study and improvement of Federation designs. Human engineers had taken alien innovations and enhanced them using methods that their former teachers never suspected existed. Admiral Torvak, I'm afraid you've made a serious miscalculation, Sarah responded, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who knew exactly how the coming battle would unfold. Human space is protected by defensive systems that your intelligence services never detected. I strongly recommend that you reconsider your approach. The battle that erupted between Earth's moon and Mars lasted less than 20 minutes, but its outcome would be remembered throughout galactic history as the moment when human patience finally ended. Federation warships that had seemed invincible found themselves outmaneuvered by vessels that appeared and disappeared like shadows, their weapons ineffective against human defensive technologies that bent the laws of physics in unprecedented ways. The Inevitable Victory suffered critical damage when human torpedo systems bypassed its defensive screens using quantum tunneling effects that Federation science had never mastered. Admiral Torvak watched in disbelief as his flagship's primary weapons failed to acquire targeting locks on human vessels that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Emergency reports flooded his bridge as ship after ship in his armada reported system failures and structural damage from weapons that shouldn't have been possible. Admiral Torres, we request immediate ceasefire pending emergency negotiations, Torvak transmitted, his voice stripped of its former arrogance as he watched his fleet being systematically disabled by opponents he had never taken seriously. The Federation Council was not informed of human military capabilities. This engagement was based on incomplete intelligence regarding your defensive preparations. Sarah Torres accepted the ceasefire request with gracious professionalism, her response calculated to demonstrate that human victory had been achieved through superior preparation rather than simple aggression. The disabled Federation vessels were provided with emergency assistance and safe passage back to their home systems, carrying news that would fundamentally alter galactic perceptions of human capabilities. Admiral Torvak, humanity bears no ill will toward the Federation or its member species, Sarah announced as medical teams transferred injured alien personnel to properly equipped hospital ships. We simply require acknowledgement that respect cannot be demanded through force, only earned through mutual cooperation and fair treatment. Chancellor Zach Thule received Admiral Torvak's report while emergency councils convened across Federation space to address the collapse of their carefully constructed hierarchy. The revelation that humans possessed military technology superior to anything in the Federation arsenal challenged assumptions that had governed galactic politics for centuries. More importantly, it raised questions about what other capabilities humanity had been concealing during their years of apparent cooperation. The Federation's investigation into human activities revealed the true scope of their former subordinates' preparation for independence. Secret facilities throughout human space had been manufacturing advanced technology for decades, while maintaining the appearance of simple mining operations and agricultural centers. Communication networks that had seemed like routine administrative channels had actually coordinated the most successful intelligence operation in galactic history. Dr. Marcus Chen traveled to the rebuilt lunar diplomatic facility where Federation representatives gathered to negotiate humanity's new status within galactic civilization. The conference room had been redesigned to accommodate all species as equals, its layout emphasizing cooperation rather than hierarchy. Marcus carried with him documentation of human contributions to Federation prosperity that told a story their former employers had never bothered to examine. For 8 years, humanity provided the Federation with innovations that improved efficiency, saved lives, and enhanced prosperity across hundreds of worlds, Marcus explained to the assembled representatives, his presentation revealing the true scope of human contributions. Medical treatments that prevented 3 major pandemics, engineering solutions that increased industrial productivity by 40%, communication technologies that reduced interstellar message delays by 67%. The data Marcus presented painted a picture of human innovation and dedication that contrasted sharply with the contributions to galactic civilization. The Federation has learned that cooperation produces superior results to domination, Elena announced as the new treaties were signed by representatives from every major galactic power. Humanity looks forward to a future where all species contribute their unique capabilities to our shared prosperity. The transformation of galactic society that followed humanity's quiet revolution established new principles that would govern interstellar relations for generations. The age of species hierarchy gave way to genuine cooperation based on mutual respect and recognition of each civilization's contributions. Human patience and strategic thinking had accomplished what military conquest and political manipulation had failed to achieve throughout galactic history. 6 months after the Federation's humbling, Captain Elena Vasquez stood once again before a viewport overlooking the capital world of galactic civilization. But now she wore the uniform of an equal partner rather than a subordinate petitioner, her position as humanity's ambassador carrying the respect that had been earned through demonstration rather than demanded through force. The lights of the city below reflected a new order where strength was measured by contribution rather than domination. Elena smiled as she watched human vessels dock alongside ships from dozens of other species, their crews working together on projects that would benefit every member of the galactic community. The revolution that had begun with reduced efficiency in mining facilities had ended with humanity's emergence as a leading force in galactic affairs. The galaxy had learned too late that politeness was a choice